upon graduating, I went to UMKC and worked in their athletics department as a graduate assistant in the marketing and events department, and got my master's in marketing. While I was there at UMKC, I continued to work for the NSCAA over the holidays and over the summer. Spend my time there. And then, kind of right as I was finishing, they let go of their marketing director, and I was kind of hanging around, so they let me do it on an interim basis for a while, and then eventually I took it over full time. I then spent 8 years there with the NSCAA as marketing director, and then eventually CMO, overseeing their marketing, membership, communications, and sales departments. Like I said, I was there 8 years, kind of got burnt out there, politics and sales side of what I was doing, and was looking for a change. And then right about just a little over a year ago, I joined Special Olympics Kansas as a regional director. And in that role, I oversee the Kansas City Metro and then the Southeast Kansas region, which includes Pittsburgh, Kansas, kind of the hub of that, and put on all of our regional events and work with our local teams in that capacity. So, that's a kind of a quick summary of my career path. When I was in your seat 15 years ago, approximately, I think all I thought about was working for a college athletic department or a pro team. And then all the interns I've had over the years, it seems like that was kind of their same mindset. And I didn't even know the Soccer Coaches Association existed. I didn't know working full-time for Special Olympics existed at that time. So I think the one thing I wanted to leave you with today is that there are lots of opportunities out there, kind of a non-traditional, or many of those are non-profit type positions outside of what you may be thinking about now, working with the athletic department or pro team. Not to say don't pursue that by any means, but there are lots of opportunities out there. And you'll never get rich in these positions, but at the same time, unless you're at the very high end of these other athletic departments or pro teams, you can either, or as my boss Tim said, go into fundraising. That's the way to get there as well. But it can be as rewarding as working for those organizations. You end up being a lot more hands-on, doing a lot more different things. At NSCAA, I was overseeing marketing, but I learned more about installing turf and live streaming and broadcasting TV, building websites, doing things I never would have got an opportunity to do with the pro team or athletic departments, because you're smaller staff, sometimes on a smaller budget, so you get to do a lot of different things, get a lot more experience. So even if your ultimate goal is still something else, I would say those are opportunities for you to get those type of experiences, make those connections. The opportunities I had with soccer coaches, traveling all over the country, working with multiple MLS teams, doing All-Star Games championships, working with Nike, Adidas, Puma, Under Armour, and negotiating with them and visiting their campuses. Again, those type of things in these kind of non-traditional roles, you'll get to do, and you'll get to make connections and relationships in the sports community that you may not think about. And at Special Olympics, it's the same thing now. Our World Games are in Austria starting in a couple weeks, and then we're in Seattle for National Games next year, and Abu Dhabi in 2019. We work with the Royals closely. We do a basketball clinic with KU every year, which was just a few weeks ago. We work with Sporting KC and many other organizations. And that's just those kind of relationships. The most rewarding part of our job is working with the athletes and getting to see their development and them compete. So I guess the biggest thing is there are lots of these organizations out there, and there's a lot in Kansas City. Sporting KC and or Special Olympics and NSCA, which I mentioned, the NAIA, MIAA, KC Sports Commission, Win for KC, the National Association of Basketball Coaches, the list goes on and on. Kansas City is kind of a central location for these kind of amateur sports organizations. So there's many of them out there. So as you're looking for work experience, internship, volunteer opportunities, I'd recommend, starting as soon as you can to get out there and get to know what opportunities exist. And it'll take some searching as well. They're not necessarily posting on working sports or any of those type of places, and many times it's kind of underdeveloped internship or volunteer opportunities where you need to reach out to them and see what they may have and kind of work your way in that way, because they may not have experience with an intern, but they'll take one. And similarly with Special Olympics, I wouldn't have known about there being a full-time opportunity there if I hadn't volunteered for a couple of years. So they do say, it's about who you know in this industry, and the best way if you don't know people is to get out there and volunteer and intern and gain some experience. That's really about what I had here. Short and sweet. Any questions about working in kind of the nonprofit industry or the recreational side of the sports?
Do you plan on retiring in what you're doing right now?
I think so. Yeah, I love Special Olympics. My dad worked with special needs youth early in his career as a teacher, and then, like I said, I've been volunteering with it before, and yeah, I'd like to say I will.
What's the difference between working in a for-profit organization and a non-for-profit organization?
Terrible. It varies a lot by organization. I will say in my role in SCIA, my job was for-profit, was to bring in money for the organization. At the end of the day, though, the biggest difference was the profit we made went back into the organization and serving the membership, versus a different organization where that money will go to some kind of shareholder or owner or some other kind of stakeholder that they build it back into the organization. So that's the biggest difference, is kind of where that final money goes. Nonprofit, it goes back into the membership. For us, it goes back towards athletes and developing them at Special Olympics versus going to the owner or shareholder.
How similar is your operations to a sports team operations?
That's a good question. Similar, but I think going back to what I said about we wear a lot of different hats. So with an organization like the Royals, where you have a marketing staff, and you have a sales staff and an event staff, that event staff the marketing staff may be very specific to promos for game days and in-game promotions. And you have a whole separate side that's doing advertising out to the community, and even advertising that may change. You have a corporate sales side. And then within Special Olympics, that's all one person doing all of that. So I'd say that's the biggest difference, is that at sports organizations, you're much larger. You're bringing a lot more money. That's going to also growing that. And so at Special Olympics, that's to be one person overseeing 10 different areas.
What's been your most successful event and why?
Most successful event and why? In my current role, we judge a lot of it by, it's about the athlete experience for us and making it as competitive as possible. So we have a lot of challenges in our divisioning. So the spectrum of someone with intellectual disabilities is pretty wide based on their ability level. And we are challenged with making their divisions that they compete in as evenly as possible, and also making it as an efficient event as we can. So there's not a lot of sitting around, moving very smoothly. We have volunteers in place, and good volunteers, good referees for team competitions and things like that. So best event, we had our Metro Regional Basketball Tournament this past weekend with 53 teams, and I think something like 500 athletes, and I think it went very smoothly. And from that competition standpoint, it was very evenly You have a question?
When you were working with different jobs, what was your drive to keep you there for even though they weren't paying?
Well, what was the reason I stayed at a job?
Yeah, that wasn't paying.
That
What was your
wasn't-
drive to keep you there? Like,
Challenge. I think the challenge of it. In this role now, it's how can I make the event better? How can I make the athlete experience better? In my previous job, it was how can I make our membership database more efficient from a capturing information standpoint? So the challenge of it, I think, is the biggest thing that keeps you in these type of roles, and then you just have to love it. I didn't love soccer. I came to appreciate it and enjoy it. That's probably one of the reasons why I eventually kind of lost interest in it, because I didn't have a passion for it. I like the business side of it, but I didn't. And then now I think you have to have a passion for what you're doing and serving in something like this. So.
Couple more questions for Chris.
what's one mistake you made at our age that you would tell us to avoid?
Oh, geez, just one. Things to avoid. I didn't get out there enough until I was very late in my time at KU, until I was a senior, when I did both my internships. I would say my freshman, sophomore, junior year, I didn't get out and do anything at all, unless I worked. And that's probably what I would say was my biggest mistake. It wasn't until later on that I go, okay, now I got to focus in and get on this. That doesn't mean not enjoy college and do those type of things, but yeah, that's probably it.
What internship did you network the best in meeting people?
Both of them were pretty good. You know, my internship I had at KU, I said was in the athletics marketing department, and that ended up, you know, because of that, I made a lot of relationships, and it got me the opportunity to go on to UMKC and be a grad assistant there. And then because of the internship at NSCAA and the work I did there, it started that first half of my career. Yeah, I think, you know, it's at both, and you'll probably hear this a lot, is there's someone always watching, so always work hard and do your best work, and that made a difference for me at both. I was doing menial labor at both, but it made a difference.
Chris, you kind of finish up talking about your funding model that we talked about, how Special Olympics operates, how it's funded, and what the revenues and expenses are.
Sure. So, our revenue at NSC, or Special Olympics, comes primarily through fundraising and grants. Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, that's pretty much it. We do some assessment fees at state for athletes to go, but it's very minimal, and the expense to athletes and teams is not much. And then our expenses are primarily our competitions and staff. We have a sports team staff that puts on events, which is what I'm part of. We have a staff dedicated to development and fundraising, and that is giving grants, it is doing one-off events, working with law enforcement. Law enforcement is a huge fundraiser for us. They do our polar plunge, all kinds of different events throughout the year that raise money within the community. And then we get a little bit trickle down through the national organization. Within Special Olympics, each state is basically its own entity that is responsible for its own fundraising, its own events, its own athlete development. And that's kind of it. And then we have kind of administrative, financial, marketing, communications staff that we're responsible for as well.
Great. Thanks, Chris.